In this podcast episode, Emily McDonald, a female neuroscientist and mindset coach, dives deep into the neuroscience behind why people feel stuck in their lives, the fears that block manifestation, and how understanding and rewiring the brain can transform every aspect of our reality. The podcast covers topics including identity shifts, fear of success, dopamine's role in motivation, manifestation, jealousy, self-worth, and how cultivating joy and self-love can realign us with our deepest desires. Emily opens by emphasizing that learning how the brain works can revolutionize anyone's life if those principles are applied intentionally. She shares an example of one of her students who experienced transformation in every area of her life simply by applying neuroscience-based principles. Central to this transformation is the importance of cultivating intention. Whether it's improving relationships, managing focus, or overcoming stress, understanding how the brain operates empowers individuals to navigate challenges instead of feeling immobilized by them. Emily draws a compelling analogy comparing the brain to a car. If you don't understand how your car functions, you're stuck when it breaks down. Similarly, if you don't understand your brain's mechanisms, you get stuck in stress, overwhelm, or distraction. Neuroscience can illuminate these internal systems so you can consciously steer your mindset and reactions. One of the most striking insights Emily shares is her neuroscience-based explanation for feeling stuck, particularly in relation to procrastination. She identifies three core reasons why people procrastinate: identity mismatch, fear, including the lesser-discussed fear of success, and the abundance of cheap dopamine in our environment. The identity mismatch refers to the disconnect between who you believe you are and the action required to attain a goal. This is closely linked with the brain's default mode network, which governs our sense of self and default behaviors. If your current identity doesn't align with that of a podcaster, author, or entrepreneur, your brain resists taking action toward these goals. Emily suggests that shifting your identity, essentially acting and thinking as if you already are the person who has achieved the goal, is crucial. This echoes the idea that you have to act like you already have it to manifest it. Emily explains this practically by advising people to adopt the behaviors of their future self even before success manifests. She uses the analogy of falling asleep. You pretend you're asleep by lying down and slowing your breath, which ultimately tricks your brain into sleep. Similarly, embodying your desired identity primes your brain to accept that reality and change your future behavior accordingly. The next major barrier is fear, particularly a subconscious fear of success. Unlike common perceptions that fear mainly revolves around failure, Emily points out that many people silently fear what success might bring: greater visibility, increased vulnerability, criticism, or judgment. She recounts her own experience procrastinating on filming her podcast due to fears of being seen vulnerably in a long-form format. To overcome this, she encourages naming and labeling fears to activate the brain's prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, which counterbalances the amygdala's fear response. This labeling process restores personal power and helps reframe the narrative around fear. The third main reason for procrastination is the pervasive presence of cheap dopamine, quick bursts of pleasure and reward from social media, binge watching, fast food, and other easily accessible stimuli. Emily emphasizes that these repeated hits of dopamine satiate the brain's craving for reward but dull its sensitivity, making it harder to feel motivated to pursue more substantial, long-term goals. Rather than trying to convince yourself why that big task will be more rewarding than immediate distractions, she advocates strategies like withholding rewards until after completing the task, mimicking how animal training boosts dopamine through earned treats. Emily also highlights how dopamine resets overnight during sleep, but cheap dopamine at night, like late-night screen time or snacking, disrupts this restoration, leaving you desensitized and sluggish the next day. Understanding this biological rhythm empowers people to optimize motivation by protecting dopamine sensitivity. The conversation shifts to manifestation, the process through which thoughts and feelings help shape reality. Emily frames manifestation as fundamentally neuroscience-based, hinging on how the brain is wired to perceive and construct reality. She describes a classic study with kittens raised only seeing horizontal or vertical lines, showing how their brains literally tune their perception to fit their environments. This example highlights how our perceptions limit or enable what we can recognize and pursue. Manifestation for Emily is about rewiring your brain to become a match for what you want to attract. This requires aligning your beliefs, identity, and feelings in coherence with your desires. Appearance alone isn't enough if your brain isn't wired to perceive and accept those possibilities. Equally, action must accompany mental alignment. Visualization and rewiring without action often falls short, whereas taking aligned action in congruence with your new identity propels change. Emily shares a practical three-step neuroscience process for manifestation. First, identify the feelings you want that your goal represents. For example, love, security, or freedom. Then, create a list of reasons you already have those feelings now. Lastly, make a list of actions you can take to amplify those feelings in the present. By cultivating these sensations now, you reprogram your brain as if you already embody that reality, creating fertile ground for manifestation. The episode also tackles emotional obstacles like jealousy and self-doubt, identifying them as fear in disguise. Emily introduces a powerful mantra. When jealousy arises at seeing someone with what you desire, replace it mentally with, "That's for me." This shift changes the neural narrative from scarcity and limitation to inclusion and possibility. Jealousy teaches the brain that something is not for me, reinforcing limitation. Transforming that into "that's for me" recalibrates belief toward worthiness. Closely related is the struggle with feeling worthy or deserving of one's desires. Emily underscores that worthiness is deeply intertwined with self-love and honest self-acceptance, embracing both light and dark aspects of oneself without judgment. She distinguishes confidence built through knowing who you are from that which depends solely on achievements. Worthiness, she asserts, can be a conscious decision, deciding "I am worthy" and challenging limiting narratives that equate desire with shame or guilt. This mindset shift moves manifestation from spiritual wishful thinking to grounded, empowered action. Emily shares how spiritual abundance is natural and aligned with the universe's expanding nature. Wanting material success or love is not inherently shameful or greedy. Rather, it's part of human growth and purpose. Recognizing and sitting with these beliefs dismantles internal blocks rooted in guilt or societal conditioning. Throughout the conversation, Emily weaves the importance of joy and play into the neuroscience of growth. She explains that experiencing joy isn't just a reward, but a neurological necessity for optimal creativity, motivation, and nervous system regulation. Pouring into yourself, engaging in joyful activities, and celebrating small wins release dopamine and nurture sustained growth. She candidly discusses her personal work on releasing the need for external validation and acceptance, noting how cultivating internal joy lessens the impact of negative external feedback. She also emphasizes how everyone experiences a unique constructed reality shaped by their brain's wiring, and that learning to hold space for this variance fosters greater self-compassion and resilience. Emily's engagement story offers an intimate glimpse into applying neuroscience to relationships. She advises being intentional about what qualities one desires in a partner and ensuring alignment between your lifestyle and those traits. Manifesting love, like other goals, requires dating yourself first, meaning cultivating a strong, loving relationship with oneself that is the foundation for healthy partnerships. She stresses not settling for less than what you deserve, because embodying self-love creates a natural filter against mismatched connections. Knowing your values, identifying feelings you want to receive, and aligning your behavior create a match to attracting a compatible partner. Her perspective reframes dating not as desperate searching, but as a process of becoming a match and confidently waiting for the right fit, with action combined with surrender to divine timing. Emily's personal journey highlights how labels and diagnoses, especially around mental health issues like ADHD, don't define limits, but rather entry points for transformation. Early health challenges and misdiagnoses gave way to a deep appreciation for neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and heal. Despite growing up with numerous limiting labels, Emily discovered through neuroscience and daily practices like meditation that she could train her brain, increase focus, and unleash creativity and intuition. She advocates for embracing imperfection and viewing challenges as levels of the game, where mastery develops through persistence and learning rather than instant perfection. Her path underscores the critical takeaway that knowledge of the brain's power can break chains of old stories and open vibrant possibilities. Several fascinating neuroscience insights surface throughout, such as the role of the vagus nerve in regulating the nervous system and enhancing intuition. Emily explains that vagal tone can be increased via simple activities like humming, grounding, and gratitude practices, improving calmness and receptivity. Her morning routine recommendations reinforce integrating movement, mindset, and mindfulness to ground oneself and maintain nervous system health. These seemingly small daily actions accumulate into profound shifts in brain function and overall well-being. Emily's closing argument is for education and awareness. The world needs a fundamental law that everyone learns about the immense power of their own minds. Such knowledge not only empowers personal transformation, but acts as a foundation for breaking generational trauma, overcoming limiting beliefs, and advancing collective consciousness.